All right, Wednesday night Krug show, or I should say Thursday night Krug show. And normally we go with Dieter on a Thursday night, but we've got Sterling Bennett, who's been a friend of mine for a number of years, and he is with us. We're going to talk a lot about the story of the night, which is Tim Kawakami went on the radio and gave the latest on Jauan Jennings, and he actually told everybody what JJ's looking for. JJ, according to Tim, wants a lot of cash. Do you want to give it to JJ? It's a pay JJ or trade JJ Thursday night. Where do you sit? We were going to get into it next. We'd love to hear from you in the chat. I'm even going to put the call link in there tonight. So if you guys want to get in on the video calls, we can do that. Sterling and I will take a couple of your video calls as well. It's the Krug show on a Thursday night. Let's freaking go. Off and running on the Krug show. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The best barbecue in all of Northern California is Pig and a Pickle. They're the best. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out. Go say hi to Damon. Go say hi to Mary. Get some brisket chili. It's a fantastic restaurant. You know, you don't have a good restaurant these days unless you really, really work at it. And I always felt like, you know, a great restaurant is like a great radio show or a great YouTube show. It's like if you make good food, people, I don't care if you don't tell anybody about it. If you make good food, that's the best thing you could do. If you do a great radio show or a great YouTube show, that's the best thing that you could do to grow your channel or grow your radio station. And Damon and Mary have a great restaurant and they work at it, and it's a real grind. And so I salute their hard work. Two, I tell all of you guys, get in there. Corte Madera, Emeryville, walk in, tell them Krug sent you. You will not be disappointed. Once you try this barbecue, you will be a fan for life. It is fantastic. So thanks to Damon and Mary and all the good people at Pig and a Pickle. And I had a guy walk up to me the other day at the grocery store, and he's like, I know you. And I was about to go, hey, yeah, Larry, I'm Larry Krug. He's like, Pig and a Pickle. And then this lady looked at me like, did that guy just call you a pig? And then I'm like, hey, it's all right. She's like, oh. I'm like, no, it's all right. It's all right. It's a YouTube show. She's like, oh, I thought you were going to get mad at him. I'm like, no. He's okay. He's a fan. Anyway. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to the story at hand because your radio station, by the way, my radio station, your station.
Yeah. Be sure to contribute, Larry.
I've been on your station.
You used to work for our station.
I worked for your station. And then if you're tuning in right now, you're like, why is Larry yelling? There's no reason. I'm just excited to be alive. According to Tim Kawakami of the SF Standard, which gets 1 million, the circulation of the SF Standard is 1 million views per month, or 1 million views. I don't know what that is. That's the circulation. 1 million people watch that or read that regularly. So, the Krug show, of course, is watched by nearly 5 million people per month.
Oh.
So I'd have to say I've got quite a few more people watching me than are reading the SF Standard, like 5-1. But
don't tell Tim that. He's not going to be happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure whoever the billionaire who owns SF Standards, checks are cashing just fine for Tim and Lombardi and everybody else. But they got about 1 million people that read them. We have about 5 million people that watch us over the course of a month on YouTube and all the social media platforms that we are on. But the Niners do talk to Tim. They absolutely talk to Tim. So and so he's a great source on this stuff. Don't ask me. They don't talk to me. I don't know. I just work for the flagship station and they're on there. I've only been doing the pregame show for 20 freaking years. They don't talk to me. They talk to Tim from the 1 million a month SF Standard. Anyway, I'm not bitter, as you can tell. This is what Kawakami said. Okay. From what I've heard from the 49er side, and we know he's getting it straight from the horse's mouth, so he knows. in the air on that. He says, what I've heard from the 49ers side in the air on that one is that they don't want to do anything. They are negotiating. I think there have been numbers exchanged, but they just redid his deal last year. And that's before he got 975 yards receiving in 2024. That's before he was the first receiver. Basically, last year when Aiyuk got hurt, that's before a lot of other things happened. So then he goes on to say that they don't want to go through this every year with JJ and this and that. They appear to be standing firm. And then he said, if you ask me what the dollars are, I would tell you just from my opinion, it's that it's not close. It's not even close. Now, at some point, you've got to either make a deal or not, and the 49ers want him on the field on week 1. And Jauan Jennings probably doesn't want to go on injured reserve or get deactivated or whatever could happen in the next few weeks if he's not practicing, which the Niners could easily just, basically say, you're not practicing. You are healthy. You're healthy enough to practice. And we're now going to put you on IR or suspend you. There's a number of different actions they could try to take. He says, but everything I've heard is that he wants a lot and that the 49ers are offering very little. Okay. So then he goes on to say, here it is. What you hear, not from the camp, but from the NFL circles, is that Jauan Jennings ask, it's high, Kawakami explained. This was on 95.7 The Game with Willard and Dibbs, by the way. Full credit here on the Krug Show for these guys. I love Dillard and Wibbs. Are you kidding me? I'm a regular listener to Dillard and Wibbs. I'm just joking. I love those guys.
You're going to get me in trouble, Larry. That's my radio station.
That's right. These are your teammates.
Yeah. My mouth is closed.
I can't believe can you believe, Matt, that Sterling didn't come to their defense? Oh no, I'm just joking. Come on, Matt. Seriously, do not. It's all Kruger. It's not.
That would
Bennett.
get the typical Willard response of, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Anyway, this is Tim Kawakami. What you hear, not from the camp, but from the NFL circles, is that JJ's ask with a K is high. It's about $20 million annually is what I've heard, and maybe a lot above 20 a year to put him in the top 20 or so of receivers in that realm. The 49ers done it before with Brandon Aiyuk, so there's precedent for lifting a guy way up on the higher ranks of the receiver salaries. So there you go. Tim, I will give Tim total credit. He is sourced. They are talking to him. Whether you want to say they're leaking through him or not, that's another way to go. But you know what? They are talking to him. There's no question about it. It's Kyle, it's John, it's Tim. This is a credible, absolutely credible source, and we can take this as fact. What do you think? $20 million a year plus for Jauan Jennings. What do you do if you're the 49ers? You have a receiver that you desperately need. You have a receiver who's one of the leaders in your locker room. You have a receiver who stepped up in the Super Bowl when your other high-priced receivers didn't.
Yeah.
And yet, if you believe Tim's reporting, and we do, the Niners have stated, hey, the timing's all wrong on this. All wrong. It's not the right time. And they don't want to do anything. And Tim's earlier reporting has stated that the Niners don't want to do anything. It's not like they're like, we don't want to do much. They don't want to do anything. They just want to be like, hey, you got a contract, $7.5 million, play it out. What do you think, Sterling? Where does this go? We got a line, and the audience in the chat, and I'll put as Sterling prepares his thoughts here, I will put the link in the description. So if you guys want to connect here via the phone, via the video chat, I believe we can do that as well. So go ahead, Sterling. What do you think? I mean, this is dramatic news. We knew that he wanted more, but more could be, hey, I'm making 7.5 and I'd like, how about 2 years, 10 million, something like that each. You get 20 million for 2 years, maybe you tack it on. But if he wants $20 million a year, is there a solution here?
Yeah, it sounded like I think Tim also said he wanted to be a top 20 paid wide receiver in football, which I don't care how you look at it. Jauan Jennings is nowhere near a top 20 wide receiver in the NFL. Um, you can even argue that Brandon Aiyuk, when healthy, who is a really good wide receiver, maybe is towards the bottom end of the top 20, and they're giving him 30. So the idea that San Francisco, at any means, was going to pay Jauan Jennings 20 plus $20 million a year is asinine. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't know if that was Jauan's agent. I don't know if that's Jauan himself asking for that money, but whoever steered him towards the number 20 and up, they fed him false information because as much as we both love Jauan Jennings and believe he was a massive contributor to this offense the last couple of years, he was one of the most clutch wide receivers on the offense and the team, even with the healthy Deebo Samuel and Brandon Aiyuk. There's just no way you can pay Jauan Jennings a $20 million a year salary. This front office, this team already feels snake bitten by the Aiyuk deal. And for Jauan to ask for that money 1 year after the disaster of that Aiyuk contract, the timing is wrong. The timing is off. They gutted a lot of their defense to kind of shave some money off the books to hope to pay Brock and Warner and Kittle and be able to face the brunt of Trent Williams' new contract and the rest of Christian McCaffrey's deal to lessen the blow of those contracts. And so for Jauan to want that, the timing is off. But also from a physical tool standpoint, you just don't pay receivers like Jauan Jennings $20 million a year. If he was asking for 13, maybe even 15, I think the entire fan base and San Francisco would probably be a little more willing to go to bat for him. But you just can't. You just can't pay that guy knowing you're going to get Aiyuk back. You may trade him in next offseason. Who knows? Now with Micah Parsons being traded, maybe Nick Bosa wants a new contract to kind of match that. San Francisco may be in a bind, and Jauan Jennings, unfortunately, for as good as he's been, may be facing the repercussions of the bad deals they've made in the past. So I don't know if it is a trade or IR, but there's no way you can pay Jauan Jennings that money. And it seems like San Francisco, based off the moves they have made, signing MVS, interest in Kendrick Bourne, that they are preparing for life without Jauan Jennings as soon as week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks.
You know, it's funny. I asked my, it's if you really want to get a good answer from anybody, you got to go ask the youngest person in the room. Seriously. Yeah. I mean, the old saying, youth is wasted on the young. If I ever really want a sports opinion, I've got 3 sons and a daughter and my wife. I go to my youngest son. Yeah. I go to my youngest son. He's 15.
They'll tell you straight. Yep.
They tell you straight. And they're also really impatient. Yeah. So I said, I go, bro, what do you think? JJ wants 20 million. What do you think the Niners are going to do? And he goes, and I love my youngest kid. He's so cutthroat. He goes, the Niners are going to cave and pay him. The Niners always cave. The Niners always pay him. They always cave and pay him. And I thought to myself, dude, he's so right on. That is so totally on the money. He's totally right. The Niners caved on Trent. They caved on Bosa. They caved on Aiyuk. They caved on Purdy. Who didn't? We're going to be ruthless in negotiations. With who? The media over lunch or something? I mean, what are we talking about? Who are you being ruthless with? Who's going to be the official whatever of the Niners? Maybe you're ruthless with them, but you're not ruthless with these players. That's for sure. You paid everybody. Everybody has gotten paid. So my kid's like, yeah, they're going to pay him, man. They're going to cave. The Niners always cave. What do you think? Do you think they're going to cave?
I don't think they can. I don't think they really caved on Brock Purdy. I think they found a nice middle ground, albeit you're paying a quarterback $53 million-ish a year. I don't know if that's caving, but Trent Williams is a heck of a lot more important to this team than Jauan Jennings is. He's now blocking your franchise quarterback's backside, hopefully for the next handful of seasons. We shall see if he can hold up. And I think Jauan, for as good as he has been, we shouldn't forget, a former 7th round draft pick. You can find more Jauan Jennings out there. Now, again, you love Jauan, the energy he brings, the locker room impact, but I just think that we are asking, or Jauan is asking to get $20+ million a year, not realizing that to 30 other teams, he is replaceable on all of them. And I love Jauan. Great hands, super clutch. Third and Jauan for a reason, right? But we had a comment on my YouTube channel today. They said third and Jagon. He's not coming back. Like, you just can't pay him that money. And I think, and maybe I can ask you this, Larry, the feeling I got hearing John Lynch yesterday, it just seemed like they didn't want to deal with it. They didn't want to talk about it. And that, yes, while they have caved on certain deals in the past, that this one is different, and that the mandate handed down by Jed and Prague maybe has been like, you really got to pick and choose who you pay, and you already paid Brock, Warner, and Kittle. You don't get to pay a fourth guy this season.
You think Jed has said that there'll be no more big money expenditures? It's possible. Is that what you're thinking? You're thinking the ownership is pushing back on the purse strings a little bit? I mean, they sat out undrafted free agency for the most part. They were 26 in UDFA signings, which made no sense considering how many holes they had and how many needs they are trying to fill, especially on the defensive side. You would have thought, hey, that is one of the best places to spend money, right? Because you're not spending a lot of money. You might spend $1 million or $2 million, $4 million overall, but you might be able to get, Willie Lampkin. Oh, you don't want, whatever. I'm bitter about that one because he went to the Eagles. But we'll see. Let's do this. Pay Jauan, trade Jauan. Sterling's hanging, and we got him here, and we're going to talk more about it. But we want to work in some calls. So let's go to Chris. Chris is in the green room. Chris just right before the show shaved to get ready for the show, and this is what's left. Thanks for cleaning that up, because for people who don't know, that thing was like 4 times as long before the show. But we have rules. YouTube has their rules, so we told him clean it up a little bit. And this is what we got. Chris, I like it. I mean, it's close cropped. It looks good. How of course we're joking. Chris, where are you calling from?
Fort Worth, Texas.
Nice. Are you a Cowboy fan, distraught about Micah Parsons, or are you a Niner fan that just is in enemy territory?
The latter. I'm just enjoying watching all the fallout from it.
So what do you think of JJ? Would you rather pay Jauan, trade Jauan? I mean, there's really 3 options that I can think of. You pay him, you trade him, or you ignore him and you hope that he comes back, and that when he does, he's not in a bad mood and flies right and is a good teammate. Those are really the options. Which one you want to take?
I would say be nice if the third option could work, but 20 million a year is way no. What's your
limit? Where would you draw the line there? Because I mean, I think we are all in agreement. 20 million is just, in fact, before you go any further, let me just show you guys the neighborhood, because I think everybody needs to know what these neighborhoods look like. This is the neighborhood, and this is my son's Twitter. He put this out the other day. I'll share the screen here. This is Jauan Jennings is the 45th highest paid receiver. He makes $5.95 million. He's in a neighborhood that has these guys: Kendrick Bourne, Brandon Cooks, Rome Odunze, Drake London. If the Niners were to extend him at $22 million per year, which sounds almost exactly what he wants, he'd be in this neighborhood with Terry McLaurin, Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, and Stephon Diggs. And I would just, to me, without even knowing the cap and all this stuff, just show people those 5 receivers, 2 lists of 5 receivers each, and ask them, do you think Jauan belongs more with the top group or the second group? And I think if you're being honest, I think Drake London's better than him. I think Rome Odunze is probably better than him. And they're getting paid less than him. And these other guys, McLaurin, Devontae, Godwin, and Diggs, come on, man. He's not in that category. Can we all admit that?
Yes. Yeah, no way.
We should also clarify that Terry McLaurin just got paid and Drake London's on a rookie contract, so it kind of muddies things up. But I think you're right that Jauan is probably just below 20, around 16 to me is the highest I would go. But to your point, Larry, of letting Jauan sit out, wait him out, that would probably have to include an IR stint so you can field another receiver, probably Kendrick Bourne, right?
I guess. I mean, I don't know how Chris feels about that either, but I mean, personally, I think
I would love that.
Kendrick Bourne is put a fork in him. He's freaking done. I mean, I've watched him his whole career. He had just enough speed to get it done early. He's tore the ACL in 2023. I don't think he was anywhere close last year to the player he was prior. So I would steer clear of that. He's working out here, or he's coming in Monday, but he's also got a deal scheduled with the Commanders for Tuesday. So I think the Niners have some interest. I think he obviously has interest. We'll see if they're interested after Monday.
It's the same as these other pickups of MVS and Sky Moore. I'm kind of like, yawn. Kendrick Bourne, I forget he's even in the league. What has he done while he's been in New England? What?
I mean, think about it this way. Last I checked, New England's receivers were bad, and they just cut him loose. Now, he asked to get cut loose, but, they had one of the worst receiving cores in football. Now, they added some guys in the offseason. They're trying to go a little younger. They've got Pop Douglas. They drafted some guys. The Wazoo kid's pretty good. They got Efton Chisholm III, who's been a nice surprise this summer. So I understand why New England's moving on. It's not necessarily a total indictment that Bourne can't play at all, but he can't play at all. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not a guarantee.
No.
It doesn't mean that he can't play, but I don't think he can play. Of the guy, if they bring in Bourne and they have MVS and you got Gage and you got Chosen, I mean, what do you think? I mean, is there anybody there? Is there any receiver here that that the Niners have control, that on the roster that you think could somehow step up and fill the void of Jauan Jennings? I mean, it's really filled the void of all of last year's receivers. There's no Aiyuk, no Debo, no JJ.
Well, the one thing about MVS is that I looked at his career stats, and he's had a lot of starting experience in the NFL, even though his stats have been pretty. I think the biggest year he had was like 600 yards receiving, from what I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but he's got a lot of playing experience. I was thinking about Sky Moore earlier, and I wonder if he mentioned something about getting a fresh start with the Niners. And I mean, obviously the Chiefs saw something in him at some point to draft him in the second round. So maybe being with the Niners let him get out of his own head a little bit. He could, I don't know, live up to that second round potential more than he did with the Chiefs.
Wow. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I mean, there's a word for Sky Moore, and the word's bust.
Yeah,
he's been a bust, and he's a small guy with big hands. I do think he might have a better run here. It looks like he looked like he was going to have a nice little year with Kansas City when he ran that back against, was it Seattle in the second preseason game, 88-yard return. All he's got to be is better than Junior Bergen for the Niners to be happy, right? I mean, I think we'd all sit here, Junior Bergen's sweetheart of a guy, really nice kid. He said he wanted to be in the Hall of Fame. He's still on the practice squad. I mean, he's a really nice kid. But I mean, there's nothing special about his traits. He's not fast. He's not big. He doesn't break tackles. He's not a kick returner. He's not a receiver. He's only a punt returner.
I didn't like that pick at all, and now did they sign him back to the practice squad, or he's
for the moment. But I mean, I would say 3 weeks from now we'll see if he's still there. I think once everybody starts looking around at what's out there, I think the Niners the odds that they'll find a receiver that has more upside potential than him are pretty great, I would say.
For sure. And that preseason game where Sky Moore had the big return, did he also not muff 2 punts or something like that in that game?
Well, he muffed. No, it was not that game. He had the nice return where he just had a little jump cut to the left, and then the entire left side was open, and he just took it. It wasn't like he, went all through traffic or anything. But then that wasn't the same game. The last game against the Chargers, he muffed one in the fourth quarter. And I thought for sure they were going to cut him. He was on a phone talking to probably his family or agent in the locker room afterwards, using his. Anytime you see guys using their cell phone as kind of a shield from talking to the media, that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign. And he kind of did that. But he's young, and it was dramatic. I'm sure it was emotional for him. I'm sure he was. I bet you right there. I know, we'll see where his career goes. But I bet you if we ever got a chance to interview him and he was being totally honest, he would tell us that night with all of us in there and after the muffed punt that he probably felt like he was in a frying pan. You know what I mean? As we're all in there he doesn't know what we're going to ask. And, he knows the cut down's coming. It's looming. He fumbled. He muffed a punt. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm sure he was panicked, somewhat, but he's on the practice squad. We'll see if he can catch his breath. But I do think Sky Moore is a better alternative than him, but he's not a receiver. I don't think Sky Moore can beat the jam. I don't. Sterling, what have you seen from Sky Moore in Kansas City? He's a 5'10" receiver with big hands who was a great player at Western Michigan, Kalamazoo, Michigan. He was great, 3-year starter, very productive, but he hasn't had any success in the NFL, like hardly anything. I think he's got like 1 or 2 touchdowns his entire career. What have you seen with Sky Moore? Why has he struggled?
Well, he feels more like a gadget player, and the Chiefs, had Mecole Hardman for a couple of years, so he really didn't have a spot in the roster in the offense. Now in San Francisco, though, I don't really view Sky Moore as someone that is going to be on the roster the entire season, or at least doesn't have a high chance of doing so. Once you get Aiyuk back and Robinson's back and maybe Jauan suits up for you, whatever week that may be, Sky Moore's spot certainly becomes open. And I think that he was only brought in, at least in my opinion, to replace Jacob Cowing while he's injured. And if Cowing does come back, Sky Moore becomes receiver 7, 6, 8. Like, they don't carry those many guys on the active roster. So he feels more like the gadget guy, can do things behind the line of scrimmage, the end arounds, the screens. But I know Shanahan talked about how quickly he's picked things up in the offense, but if you're asking Sky Moore to get open at a consistent rate in the NFL, it's not going to happen. And right now, San Francisco only has one of those guys, and it is Ricky Pearsall, who's coming into his second season. So to ask Sky Moore to do a lot for you is pretty foolish, in my opinion.
What do you think of this one? Big Brick 84 says JJ should fire his agent. I mean, he's represented by Rosenhaus, but
maybe.
I mean, I would say to Rosenhaus, dude, read the room. Read the room. I mean, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you're doing this all freaking wrong. I mean, and you're doing this all freaking wrong, and you have JJ's family's future in the palm of your hands. So I hope JJ is leading his agent through this. So it's not his agent leading JJ through this. I really hope, because then JJ has no one to blame but himself. But I mean, think about this. What he's doing as opposed to what he should be doing. What he should be doing is looking at the situation going, hey, Jauan, look, we want to get paid, and they don't want to pay us right now. So we've got two choices. We could just, make an ass of ourselves this summer and be the gigantic squeaky wheel that needs grease and see if it pays off for us. Or we could just show up, ball out, and get paid in March. And I'm sure the idea is, hey, we'll try this, and if this doesn't work, then we'll do that, right? We'll take our shot at making, getting a contract, and if it doesn't work, we're a free agent in March nonetheless. But I just think he's blowing it. Why? Because the Niners need him right now. If he were healthy and had played all of camp, his last practice was in July. It's almost September. He hasn't practiced in over a month. The idea that he's going to get through the first month if he showed up in week 1 without a soft tissue injury is like 5%. He's going to get hurt. Some kind of quad, some kind of hammy, some kind of something calf. Something is going to happen because he hasn't practiced for a month. But if I was Rosenhaus, I would have said to him, look, there's no Aiyuk. He's not going to be there until November. There's no Debo. Pearsall has got 2 games under his belt. These speedy guys they've drafted, they've never played. I mean, Cowing still hasn't even practiced. All we got to do, JJ, is show up, get in the best shape possible, and have a monster September. That's all we need to do. We can have a totally ordinary October, November, December. All we need to do is show up and have a monster September with all these other guys out, and we are a lock at a 3-year, $50 million deal with $25 million guaranteed. And instead, he's like, no, we're gonna blow off camp. And now what's going to happen? Is he going to start fighting with the Niners? And then what's going to happen next? Are they going to put him on injured reserve? Are they going to put him on some list? Is he going to then be mad? Is he going to show up? Is he going to pout? Is he not going to show up in September when they really need him? And then he's going to finally, come in after 3-4 weeks. But at that point, you maybe have, Aiyuk getting closer to back. Watkins is healthy. Maybe Cowing's healthy. DeMarcus is off suspension. Suddenly the ball's getting spread. That's the other thing. Do you really believe that the goal of the Niners and Shanahan is to get JJ monster numbers? No. They're trying to establish Pearsall. They're going to try to establish Watkins. They brought in a blocking tight end so they could feature Kittle. They've got 2 big-time running backs they want to throw it to. JJ's not getting an absurd number of looks this year and targets. So I think he blew this, man. I think he blew this totally. He should have been all in on a monster September and looked to ride that into a big payday. And instead, the chances of that monster September are not good. Without it, probably a monster statistical year is not coming. And he needs that year as proof. Otherwise, nobody's going to break him off to the tune of $20 or $30 million guaranteed. So I think he's playing his hand wrong. I think it's going to cost him profoundly. What's your guys' read on that?
It's just weird because I completely agree with you. And isn't Drew Rosenhaus like one of the top agents? He's had some really big time clients, right?
It's not his first rodeo, that's for sure. He's been doing it a long time, right, Sterling? I mean, it's been a number. He's one of the more veteran agents in the game.
Yeah.
So you would think he would tell his client that you're playing this way wrong with the timing of when you're eligible for an extension and everything that you just said.
Chris,
I don't get it.
We'll let you jump, but I'll give you one last one on your way out the door. We'll role play here. I'm JJ, you be Lynch. Hey man, all those other cats didn't show up on Super Bowl Sunday. I did. You remember that catch in Seattle where I caught it and I dragged 5 guys for a first down? Ain't nobody else doing that for you. What's up? You gonna take care of your guy or not? You're Lynch. Saying?
I love him for all those third down catches and stuff like that he's made, but until last season he hasn't even sniffed 1,000 yards receiving. So I'm saying we'll see you, week 1, or we won't, I guess, and you'll start accruing fines and all those kinds of things, and that's on you.
Chris, if last one on your way out the door, if Jerry Jones is walking through downtown Fort Worth tonight, bunch of Cowboy fans are walking by, what are they saying to Jerry? Are they saying, Jerry, we love you, Jerry. We love the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? I'm going to go check out that. I'm going to run home and check out the Netflix special. What are they what are they saying to Jerry? Or are they flipping him the bird?
They're definitely flipping him the bird. He is not popular around here.
Yeah. It's hilarious. Documentaries are great because they tell the truth, except for this documentary, which is painting him and his sons and his family as geniuses. They're football geniuses. They're business geniuses, but they're football, idiots. They fired Jimmy Johnson. If Jerry Jones in 1993 had fallen into a colossal hole and just was down there for like a decade, and he didn't die, and then a decade later he emerged from that hole, he would have come out of that hole with like 7 Super Bowls. Jimmy Johnson would have been like the greatest dynasty of all time. We'd still be talking about the Cowboys. Instead of being worth $10 billion or whatever they're worth now, they'd be worth like $20 billion. Instead, he's got his documentary trying to rewrite history and like trying to make it like we remember him, the genius of Jerry Jones. You lucked into a coach, you chased him to the curb, and you haven't won since, listening to you and your idiot kid try to draft on draft day. And so what happens? Like all people that don't know football, they hit, they miss. They hit, they miss. They hit, they miss. Well, guess what? You can't run a team that way. Chris, we hit with you, Chris, but we're gonna let you go. Have a great rest of the night. Thanks for jumping on the Krug Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I listen all the time.
Thanks, man. Out in Fort Worth, we appreciate you. Chris in Fort Worth. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love the video calls. I think it's one of my favorite parts of YouTube is the video calls. Always very cool.
Has somebody punked you on there yet? I feel like I'd be a little worried about it.
Nobody punks me. No.
Yeah. No, you might get a little pig in a pickle on accident in there. You never know.
Yeah. Well, I always keep my finger on the eject button. I also keep the people in the green room for a little bit just to make sure that they're not off. And then most of the calls that we take are with people that I kind of know. And you know what I mean? So after a while. All right, let's hit some supers here. We have 7 supers, and then I want to get Sterling's thoughts on some non-Aiyuk stuff, but we want our non-JJ stuff. Martin Hansen says, hey, there you go. $5.
Awesome.
No comment, no question, nothing. Just Martin Hansen, everybody.
I think Martin asked to comment a little later maybe about Evan Anderson being on the practice squad. And yes, Evan Anderson did go back on the practice squad after clearing waivers today. So, Martin, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. Joseph Ernberg, who's always negative. I love the negativity of Ernberg.
Love it.
He says, never thought I'd see Larry and Sterling. What? Oh,
it's been a few times.
Sterling and I did an amazing draft show, like before the draft. Sterling goes super granular on the draft, and I really appreciate that. So usually I bust you out in March and April for like 4 or 5 streams because you and I can nerd out with like the 6th round and the undrafted, and
we go 250 picks deep, and then the UDFAs after that as well.
Sterling and I are the guys who are getting mad about UDFAs. Just think of it that way. We got this one from Did Jen. Tyreek Hill is the trade to make by the trade deadline. Do you know what his cap hit is for next year? $56 million.
I think that's 20 below Nick Bosa, so close, but not quite there yet.
$56 million, and he's not the player that he was.
No.
Martin Hansen. Here we go.
There's the question.
Larry, are we going to get Evan Anderson back? I'm finding it hard to stomach. He's gone, and Yatur, we've never ever seen play, is still on the roster. So this pissed me off yesterday too. And you know what?
Okay.
I was kind of pissed because I was like, God, you're going to cut Evan Anderson. He's probably your best run defender. And you're playing Seattle in a couple weeks. Seattle's been averaging like 5 yards a carry in multiple preseason games. They ran the ball the least of any team in pro football last year. I know that they are absolutely going to look at the Niners with West and Collins and all these possible young starters on defense, and they're new coaches and the whole deal. And we're going to run the ball down their freaking throat. And so the Niners have been practicing some 5-man fronts with 3 down linemen and then Bosa and Huff off the edges. And you may see a 5-man front if they start gashing the 49ers run defense. But the Niners did not go heavy, like 5 guys, all about stopping the run early because they didn't think it was a problem. They knew it was a problem. So when they cut this guy, I was like, I really don't like the fact that they cut Evan Anderson. But today, they brought him back to the practice squad, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I looked at the Niners practice squad. I did a tweet on this. Dude, the Niners practice squad, Sterling, looks pretty freaking deep. Listen to this practice squad. These guys are on the practice squad, right? These guys did not make the 53 and are on the practice squad.
We're talking practice.
We're talking practice.
Yeah.
Evan Anderson, really good 2-gap defensive tackle. He's not a pass rusher, but he's
started for you last year.
Yes. Might have been one of your better defensive tackles the second half of the year. Sebastian Valdez, practice squad. Couldn't believe that he didn't get picked up. At the way he rushes the passer from the interior, how much they pay guys in this league who can interior rush. I was very surprised, but he didn't have a great second preseason game. Maybe people saw that. No Niners, by the way, got picked off waivers. That should be a little bit of a rude awakening for those people who are like, we're the best team ever. Really? Not a single one of your cuts got picked up off waivers by somebody else.
The two veterans got picked up, Surratt and Wilson Jr., but those were releases, not waiver claims. Yes.
Right. And the Surratt one is interesting because I kind of feel like maybe Seattle picked him up as an intel move because he did wear the green dot. He is a pretty smart player. Niners picked up MVS, who's in Seattle, but we know the need is there. I don't know, Seattle picked up a couple NFC West linebackers. A lot of speculation is that maybe they're trying to get some intel. But okay, so Evan
you would think having Kubiak as their OC would be enough intel, but maybe I'm wrong.
Right? No, totally. And then and realistically, not every position can you grab intel from.
Right.
I mean, Surratt hasn't even been a Niner that long.
Yeah.
And
you know what month.
I mean? MVS hasn't been a Seahawk that long. I mean, the guys, so I mean, these guys barely can tell you where the lunchroom is. Evan Anderson, Sebastian Valdez, these are all in the practice squad. Trevis Gibson, I thought, had a great summer. He looks terrific. He had 7.5 sacks one year with the Bears. He's not old. Drake Nugent had a really good preseason. Robbie Chosen, MVS, Sincere McCormick, was getting some fantasy looks at the end of last year with the
contact
Raiders.
Balance is there. It is there.
No question. He's a kind of, what he reminds me of, Sterling? He kind of reminds me of like a very poor man's Frank Gore. 5'8".
That's a really poor man's Frank Gore.
Same build, real compact, but like Frank Gore was 5'8", but he wasn't small. And this guy's 5'8", but he's not small. It's like he can push the pile. I talked to him today. I'm talking to him. As I'm talking to him, I'm looking at the side of his face, and he's just got a gigantic gouge. And it's just amazing how much violence these guys subject themselves to in just a regular practice. Probably somebody got in there and, gave him a scratch, but it was deep. I mean, it looked like almost borderline needed stitches.
That's that's the permanent eye black.
Jeez, I mean, these guys are badasses to some degree.
Yeah.
But Sincere McCormick, Adrian Martinez, I really like that one. He was the UFL MVP. He looked good in the UFL title game. He's athletic, 4.5 speed. You got Curtis Robinson, Jalen Graham, William Bradley King, and they've got 3 or 4 or 5 other spots to fill. But I mean, Sterling, that's a pretty good group of players that can. I mean, like, I think Jalen Graham could play if you had to have him. I think Curtis Robinson could play. And same thing for Chosen, same thing for Nugent, same thing for Gibson, same thing for Evan Anderson. You know what I mean? So it's I think for the 49ers, yes, they're not as deep as maybe they used to be, but it's a pretty impressive, pretty stacked practice squad that they've got going right now.
Yeah, I was pretty happy or who they brought back in the practice squad, guys that started for them last year, Evan Anderson being one of them. I think that Curtis Robinson, had he not got hurt, would have probably been a starter for them at a certain point during the year, and maybe had let San Francisco avoid the Devondre Campbell disaster that happened last year. I was also pretty happy they got to bring back Jalen Graham too, who I think had his best preseason and training camp of them all since he's been in the NFL. So a lot to like. My assumption is that we're going to see Robbie Chosen Anderson and maybe others in that group, probably Curtis Robinson, Evan Anderson too, all elevated at least by week 1 to help fill some roles. I was actually shocked they didn't cut Luke Gifford and risk Curtis Robinson being picked up, which again, it feels like San Francisco got pretty lucky with who they cut and got to bring back. So I was pretty excited for what San Francisco got to place on their practice squad. And I think it ultimately will help them. It seems like with the receiver situation happening and maybe some other roster spots that are open or at least in question, that they are going to be one of the more active teams using their practice squad as like legitimate starters for them this year, which isn't always a great place to be at. But again, with the Jauan Jennings stuff and the Aiyuk injury and the Robinson suspension, I think who they brought back may actually help them a lot in the first month or so of the NFL season.
Ed Corey drops $1.99 on us. Thank you, Ed. Zachary Kelway in the house, and he says 16 million tops, trade for a wide receiver at the deadline. I mean, I was hoping the Niners would trade for Romeo Doubs, but then, they wound up.
Concussions are a problem, though.
Yeah, I mean, and also he had a bunch of drops. He's another guy. You'd be giving away probably a late day 2 pick or a high day 3 pick, and you'd be giving up a guy. You'd be trading that for a guy who's a free agent at the end of the year that you're probably going to let walk away. But he did play collegiately at Nevada, and
I would have rather
some
have
upside.
had Dontavian Wicks if they would have got rid of him. I love Dontavian Wicks. There is some drop problems too, but as a gadget guy, he's a bigger body receiver as well. I think Kyle would have some real fun with him, but LaFleur is not going to let him go. No way.
Kelway says we could have drafted wide receiver at 11 and traded our next 2 number ones for Parsons. We miss in the first round anyway. It's not about the number ones for the Niners. It's about the contract. They couldn't satisfy Parsons with that contract. He says Cam Latu and Jake Moody could be wide receivers right now too. Somebody told Cam Latu he was a wide receiver. No, but you know the guy that I really wanted, and I don't know if you remember this, but I talked him up a little bit going into the draft, and I think he's had a really good summer, and I may try to get him in the KMBR Fantasy League.
Okay.
Luther Beast of Burden.
Okay.
What do you think of Luther Burden from Missouri, from Chicago?
I wasn't down on him coming into the draft. I am not shocked he fell out of the first round, though. You could tell his stock was falling. I don't think he has the traits of a number 1 wide receiver, but I think he's in a perfect offense for him. I think he fills the Amon-Ra St. Brown role for Chicago. But right now, they have so many injuries to their running back room that DJ Moore is taking snaps at running back during training camp and practice. So they're changing a lot in the offense, but the Bears should be in good hands as long as Caleb Williams can live up to somewhat of the hype he had coming out of USC.
I don't think he's going to be completely honest. I kind of like Badgent to eventually take that job from him. I don't know if you've watched Badgent this summer, but Badgent has looked really good. Really good.
And they signed him to an extension for a reason. So
yeah, I like Badgent. I don't know. We'll see. Fish and Chips is Sterling upgrades the Krug show, period. All right. I like that.
Well, thank you.
Gabriel says snatch Nick Nash from Atlanta's practice squad. Yeah. You want to put him on your active roster. I mean, what do you think of the idea of that? I like that idea. To me, I understand that you need guys who can perform right away, but the bottom line is every year in fantasy, just fantasy football, let's just say, there are going to be rookies that come out of nowhere and play really well.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if you get those rookies on your team, you're going to have a pretty good year. But it's hard to predict, right? Because you could also get rookies, even highly rated rookies, that just don't do anything or just don't do much or play 4 or 5 games or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, I just feel like, the 49ers, I wanted to see the 49ers go after like Elijah Badger from Florida or Mario Williams from the Rams or, one of these rookie receivers that had some upside that they really maybe liked in the draft process. But instead they're going Russell Gage, Robbie Chosen, Kendrick Bourne, guys who have torn ACLs, guys who have a past. And the fans will go, oh, I know that name. If you sign Elijah Badger, people go, who? Who'd you sign? I have no idea who that is. But you know what? Elijah Badger's got a way bigger future than Kendrick Bourne. But it's a matter of, do you want to coach him up?
Do you think the reason for that, though, the reason why San Francisco may be hesitant to bring in rookies or second-year players, albeit Sky Moore is still young, is because they know who they're getting back, let's say after week 3 or week 4. Like when Robinson comes back, who slides down? When Aiyuk comes back, if he's even healthy, who knows who slides down? Where you don't mind moving guys like Gage and Chosen Anderson and MVS, on and off the practice squad throughout the entire year. That to me feels more like what San Francisco is thinking of. Well, we can't go and claim these guys or sign these guys who may have higher ceilings but want bigger money or higher opportunity because we have guys ahead of them coming back that we believe in more. And like take Jacob Cowing, for example. My stock on him is pretty low right now, but they seem to value him a lot. I don't know why they do so. I get the skill sets there, but he has shown me nothing in a year and a half. He's been hurt the entire time he's been in San Francisco practically. But they are holding out hope he comes back at some point during the year to kind of be a part of the offense, which I don't really believe that's going to happen. And if he's healthy, even then, I don't think he's going to be a major part of the offense. So it does feel like San Francisco is banking on the name value of the guys rather than some of the ceiling of the guys in the room.
What it seems like to me is that the 49ers are trying to justify their draft selections. They don't want to get rid of Jake Moody. They don't want to, say goodbye to this guy or that guy. They drafted him. They're invested. There's an investment there. And I think they're protecting their investment. And it's probably because there's somebody. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious at this point. Jake Moody is about more than Jake Moody, right? Yeah. It's about more than that. It's either about control over personnel, or it's about somebody's voice in the room over somebody else's voice in the room. There's more on the line here than just the kicker. Come on, you've given this guy more chances than you gave Trey Lance.
Right. And that was going to be my next point of why did they seem not quick to? They gave Trey a couple years, but they had no problem moving off of Trey. Granted, it's because they had Brock Purdy in the room and they felt comfortable moving off of him. But
they were moving off of him anyway. That's why they brought back Jimmy. Jimmy was a hedge against Trey. The re-signing of Jimmy.
And so, when you feel that way so early about a quarterback you traded 3 first-round draft picks for, and a third-round pick, mind you, why do you think there is maybe a little more stubbornness with Jake Moody compared to Trey Lance, which you'd feel like what they gave up for Lance would have made them 10 times more stubborn to make that work and kind of jam that square into a block hole trying to figure things out, where Jake, it's we all see he's not good. Everyone can see he's not good. And the mentality of, well, he has to cost us a couple of games, then we'll cut him.
Well, we don't know
a 10-win team max this year. You can't afford to lose a couple games, then cut Jake Moody. Cut him now and go get Greg Joseph or somebody else. Eddie Piñeiro's out there for all I care.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up a great question, and it might be as simple as, is it possible that Trey Lance was put upon Kyle Shanahan? Kyle knows he's the guy, right? Everybody knows he's the guy. He's the highest paid guy. He's the head coach. He hired the GM. He's the guy. So the last thing that a guy who is the guy wants is it's possible that Jed or some ownership person said, we don't want to take Mac Jones. Let's take one of these athletic younger guys.
Funny how that works, right?
Let's take a more athletic guy than Mac Jones. We don't want to take this guy. Remember right before that draft, there was a picture of Jones with his boiler. Yeah. Every time I thought of Jones back then, I thought of that boiler picture. I think he was smoking a cigar. And
yeah.
He was smoking a cigar, and he had a big boiler. And he probably still smokes cigars, and he probably does have a boiler. But guess what? I watched him all summer. He plays on time.
Yeah, he does.
Plays on time.
It's the offense really well.
He fits the offense really well. Watching it, it's there's no doubt in my mind that they should have gone with Mac Jones over Trey Lance. 100%. Because I can see now what Kyle saw. Kyle was just hey, you know what? Jimmy can't read anything. Jimmy's, thick. Jimmy's not the smartest guy. I'll get a guy who can process, knows where to go, plays on time, can read coverage, and is accurate, and that will be enough, and we'll win. And then I think they traded up with the idea of, well, we don't know how it's going to go, but we love Trevor and we love Zach Wilson. And if it doesn't work out, we'll get Mac Jones and we'll be set. We'll get to the third pick. And then all of a sudden it's everybody started wanting Fields. And then everybody started wanting Lance. And I was one of them. I'm right there. I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty.
We're kind of hitting the underlying topic of who was a Kyle guy, who was a John guy. And I want to kind of turn things back to Jauan Jennings for a second.
Maybe Trey was a Jed guy or somebody, because Mike, what's the guy's name? Mick, who's the
Mick
Lombardi. Mike Lombardi, even after he was faced with, hey, they picked Lance, instead of being oh, I guess I was wrong, he doubled down. He was I was right. Shanahan wanted Mac Jones. He just got convinced out of it. Somebody else. And you know what? That sounded crazy at the time, but I bet you that's right. I bet you that's right. Because nobody, Kyle was never, ever, ever, ever going to be it wasn't my call, because that makes him look weak. He never once was going to be well, I wanted this other guy, but the owner wanted this guy. He wasn't going to do that. wasn't gonna throw his owner under the bus, and wasn't gonna make it seem like somebody told him. So, but he likes his job. He's making a mint of money. He's got a gigantic $12 million mansion. These are hard jobs to get. You think he's just going to turn on the owner? No way. So he went along. He went along. You go along to get along. He went along to get along, and that's probably why there's no repercussions, because it probably wasn't his call. Right?
To kind of stay on that of like, who's a Kyle guy, who's a Jed guy, who's a John guy. If the reports, I believe by Tim Kawakami, are true, and Kyle ran up to John Lynch's office last year to stop the trade of Brandon Aiyuk, do we think Jauan Jennings is a Kyle guy and that he would vouch for Jauan in the room with Parag and John and Jed to get him paid?
We know he's Lynch is a JJ guy because he said he was his favorite player today.
But is he a Kyle guy, which seems to carry a little more weight in that room than, which maybe after the Aiyuk deal, it doesn't matter anymore, but
I think they're both JJ guys.
Okay.
But I think what they leaked to Kawakami is the truth, which is the timing's all wrong. I could see them saying that because the timing is all wrong. What do you think? You think the 49ers right now with a $30 million receiver that can't play are and now you got a guy who's got a calf injury that could easily be an Achilles? You could make an argument that the fan base would demand that that Lynch be fired if he signs him to a big money 3-year, $66 million deal. Right. And before Halloween, JJ's got a torn Achilles.
Right. And so that is what I think complicates the matter, is the calf, which could turn into worse. And I've been on that for a long time of like, the calf thing is not to be messed with. You saw it with Dre Greenlaw in the Super Bowl. All it takes is one jump, one twist, and boom, it's over. I do wonder that, let's say the Niners are reluctant to hand Jauan a 2-3-year contract. Let's say it's $20 million a year, $16 million a year. Who actually knows? Let's assume it's 20 though. I would like to think San Francisco came to the table and said, hey, Jauan, we can't do 2 or 3 years. We don't mind giving you a little raise right now to help kind of give you a do-good to get us to the offseason. Then we can come back to the table and figure things out. But the calf injury, I think, complicates things for them of like, we were going to do that, but now because you're injured and we know what it's like to sign guys who get hurt right afterwards, we're not talking to you at all. Like, we aren't doing this. The timing's wrong. The money isn't right now. Because I think San Francisco deep down would like to sign Jauan Jennings. He fits their scheme. Kyle and John like him. Their biggest miss, if not having him out there, will be the run blocking. He opens up so much on the ground for Christian McCaffrey and company in the backfield, but because of the calf injury, they don't want to do a bigger 1-year deal. And because they don't want to spend money on him in long term, they don't want to do a 2 or 3 year deal. Like, I think a lot of this comes down to San Francisco is willing to not even negotiate with Jauan because they're so scared of what can happen if they do afterwards.
I think you pegged it. I think they don't want to, and there's all kinds of problems here. They don't want to do a deal that rips up his existing deal this year because that's a bad precedent to set. Which
he has 4 void years on his current contract, which they may want to get rid of, but not at $20 million a year.
Right. So, they don't want to rip up the existing deal. Bad precedent. I don't think Rosenhaus wants to bypass March's big payday for JJ, right? He's not going to sign anything that doesn't make him a free agent next March, right? He needs that. Right. He needs him to be a free agent. Like, if he can move his free agency up, he would. But the last thing he's going to do is move it back unless the Niners are going to give some big money long-term deal. And why in the hell would you give a big money long-term deal to a guy whose previous high before last year was 416 yards and the most touchdowns he had in the 2 years prior was 2 combined in the 2 years prior to last year? So I'm not saying he's a 1-year wonder. I'm not. I believe in JJ. I know you do too. I think they do. All the fans do. It's not about do we believe. We believe. It's not that we don't think he's going to play hard or anything like that. It's just, I just laid it out there. They don't want to rip up the contract. Rosenhaus doesn't want to bypass free agency. The Niners clearly don't want to get into a big money long-term deal with another receiver. So then the question is this: why is Lynch so much like? Did you want to? they can't even get their story straight on this. This is the part that's kind of weird. It's like, did Jauan ask to be traded? Yes, yeah, he asked to be traded. Okay, wait a second. Then a couple days later, JJ from Shanahan, he didn't officially ask to be traded. Okay,
it's a big word.
So
officially.
So then it was like the word was officially. Okay, so then it's like, oh, so maybe he didn't ask to be traded. People who were defending that. Oh, he didn't officially ask to be traded. Shanahan said so. And then today it came up, or yesterday it came up. Well, he did ask to be traded, but we're not doing that. Yeah. We're not going there. We're not doing that. And the only reason anybody would say that is because you investigated it and you realize that there's no good value there. Otherwise, if you haven't investigated that, then why would you take such a strong stance if you know you're also not going to pay the guy? Because then aren't you leading it to a road where you're not paying him? He's in the room unhappy. And is that a good situation? Because you're in the room, you go into the locker room. Every guy has a different gravity in the room. Some guys have no gravity. Like they could not even be there and nobody would even know if they're there. But JJ has a lot of gravity. There's a lot of gravity to JJ. If he's there, he's definitely one of the real. His mood, and he has different moods. His mood impacts the vibe in that room, I think.
I do wonder, and to your point of San Francisco, maybe looking around, seeing what they can get for him, maybe they feel like the best thing for us is to let JJ sit on the sideline, maybe stew, maybe get fined, maybe lose some money, have to play for us this year, even if he's upset. He'll block harder because he wants to get paid. He'll try to catch more because he wants to get paid, which could backfire. He can try too much and get hurt again, whatnot. But they may also realize that if JJ is good for us this year, it gets us to a point where if Aiyuk is back healthy, completely healthy next year, if he isn't traded, and Pearsall takes a big step in year 2, you like DeMarcus Robinson next year once he's off the suspension, we don't really need Jauan Jennings after this season. But if he can maximize us now, get paid big bucks in the offseason, which maybe it is $20 million per year, I doubt it though, he gets you probably a 5th round or 4th round compensation pick, which is probably more than you can get for him right now. I feel like they're playing the long game with him. They don't mind letting him sit. I don't think Jennings is someone that's going to cause an issue with other players. Put him in the suite, put him on IR, and say, when you're ready, come back.
Freeze a little bit? Are you?
Am I frozen?
I've got a frozen Sterling right there.
Oh no, I'm frozen.
Maybe it's just on my end. Oh, there you go. Now you're back.
There you go.
Sorry about that. I don't know if you froze on my end. Maybe just on my end. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say it does feel like they are willing to wait on Jauan and kind of say, look, like we don't have to pay you. We like to pay you, not at your asking price, but what we can get back for you is worth making you sit out for us at the end of the day.
Danny Medeiros says, hey, here's a rouge, which in the Canadian Football League is a single.
Nice.
A 1 point rouge, $1 rouge. Anthony Catania, the owner of Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, which is also a sponsor of the Krug Show. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. Give Anthony a call. He's at 831-521-5264. Check out Sharp Corners 831 on the gram. He says, great show. I think the league and the national media are highly underestimating the Niners. Let's hit on that for a second. Who is in your mind right now, if I say to you the team to beat in the NFL, and I bring this up because I was looking at some odds. These are FanDuel odds on the Super Bowl. Do you know who the favorite is to win the Super Bowl according to FanDuel at 7-1?
Is it not Philadelphia?
No, it's Baltimore. Huh. Baltimore is 7-1 favorites. And then Buffalo and Philly are 7.5 to 1, plus 750. Chiefs are 8-1, plus 800. Lions are plus 1,200, 12 to 1, tied with the Packers.
Really? The Lions?
Yes, the Lions, which I'm really surprised by.
Yeah.
Rams are 19 to 1.
No way.
Tied with the Niners. And the Commanders are 20. Who is, if I say to you right now, the team to beat in the NFL, There's a lot of different ways to look at it, right? You could say, hey, the Eagles are the Super Bowl champions, and until somebody knocks them off, you could say, hey, Green Bay just got Parsons. Look at them. You could say, hey, Baltimore, they're the betting favorites. They got Lamar. You could say, hey, the road to all Super Bowls goes through Mahomes and Reed. Heck, you could say it's Josh Allen's time and it's Buffalo's time. You could say the Niners are going to bounce back and Purdy's getting his ring. Who is the team to beat right now?
I think it would probably be Philadelphia and maybe Baltimore if you want to pick one in each conference. Kansas City will be good. I don't know if they'll be as good. I don't think Green Bay's run defense got better today because Micah Parsons is there, which isn't why you get him, but I think teams will be able to run against them at a pretty high rate this season unless something changes for them. But I think it's really hard to root against reigning champions and then a two-time MVP in Lamar Jackson, who the only reason why they lose playoff games is because they stop running the football and make dumb mistakes. So if they can clean those things up, they should be okay come the AFC playoffs.
Everybody hit like and subscribe, by the way. We're an hour and 5 minutes in. We're only going to go for a little bit longer, but please hit like and subscribe. If you hit like, that just helps the algorithm. More people find us in the whole algorithm. If you hit subscribe, every time we go live, you'll get you hit that notification bell, you'll get a little alert just saying, hey, don't miss. And once the live stream wraps, you can catch the full replay anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever your favorite platform is. Just search The Krug Show and you will find us. We've got this one from Keith, who's in the house tonight. What's up, Keith? He said, Larry, we met on Facebook Messenger after your interview with Chandler Martin. Great kid. Did he make the Ravens 53? Keep up the awesome work. He did not. He had a great preseason, but he didn't make it, but he's on the practice squad. That was another guy. Really was hoping the Niners would pick a guy like Chandler Martin off of their practice squad and add a sixth linebacker. And I really think Martin's a future starter. I see him kind of similar to a Nick Martin. He's not quite as studly as far as, upper body and just power, but we're talking about undersized linebacker who can make a ton of plays and is really active. The Ravens know their stuff. They got Chandler Martin. He had a really good preseason. He had like 6 tackles in a game. He had a PBU in a couple games. So I really like Chandler Martin, but he's on their practice squad. So
I'm shocked San Francisco didn't try to pick up Damian Martinez that was coming to Seattle. I loved him coming out of the U.
Love him. He didn't make the team. I would pick him up right now. Damian Martinez. I agree with you, Sterling. Damian Martinez is a blue collar, rugged, hard charging, powerful Miami Hurricane running back who I think he's on Seattle's practice squad right now.
Yeah,
I would pluck him and put him on the active roster.
I'm pretty sure he passed through waivers. Like no one claimed him, and Seattle re-signed him.
Shocking.
Which to me, I'd rather have Damian Martinez than Sincere McCormick or than Junior Burgeon or Malik Turner. Like give you some youth in that room, which it seems like right now, according to John Lynch, that Jordan James, which I think he would have anyways, is on pace to become the RB2 when Brian Robinson's gone next year, and is probably going to usurp Isaac Guerrero on the depth chart for RB3 as soon as he's healthy again, which I'm pretty sure he's practicing now. So with Guerendo's stock being so low, why not go get Damian Martinez, a young guy in the practice squad, to help give you some more depth in that room behind those guys?
Here's the deal. If you pick somebody off somebody else's practice squad, you have to put them on your active roster. So they'd have to put them on their active roster. So it's not about replacing Bergen. He would have to replace. You'd have to come up with an active roster spot, but who cares? I mean, I think Damian Martinez is good enough to give an active roster spot too. A couple more before we jet. James Foster says third and Kendrick Bourne was a thing before third and Jauan. Got to give coach credit for creating mismatches. I bet another player can step up. Yeah, is it Jauan that special, or is he a product of Shanahan's offense?
Do we think that the Niners view the receiver that is Jauan Jennings as replaceable with guys like Christian McCaffrey, like Brian Robinson, where you want to have them out there, but they feel like they can survive to get to Demarcus Robinson after week 3?
What are you asking? Are they looking for more stopgap than?
No. Like, do they think that with the guys on the roster that are in the running back room, can replace the production of Jauan as a wide receiver, and not have to feel the need to go and sign somebody else like Kendrick Bourne or feel the pressure to add another bigger name receiver, if you will, on the roster?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I mean, they definitely Garendo and McCaffrey have the skill set that you would think they absolutely could fill in. But the one thing that's been a little bit surprising to me of this entire Shanahan era since they've gotten McCaffrey is they've hardly ever flex him out. Have you noticed that? He's hardly ever flexed out.
Yeah.
I don't
know why that is.
I haven't even asked you yet. What do you think of Brian Robinson?
I like Brian Robinson a lot. I think in short yardage stuff, I think he's going to be great. I think the Niners really struggled to capitalize in the red zone last year, short yardage gains. That was a problem. Jordan Mason, for as good as he was not somebody reliable to get you 1-2 yards to continue drives in the red zone. I also think Brian Robinson is a much better receiving threat out of the backfield than Jordan Mason was last year, which when you watch last season, one of the bigger issues of the offense for Brock Purdy was not having a check down option. That Rams game at SoFi was just terrible. He did not want to give the football to a check down. I think Robinson can give you a little more there, get Brock some comfortability, but I'm hoping that having Brian Robinson there would give Shanahan maybe a little more time or maybe have Shanahan utilize McCaffrey in the slot out wide, free up things for the offense, and hopefully spread some defenses to give you guys more space to kind of move around and find some open spaces and holes.
It's funny because today, PFF had a breakdown saying that they knew what Brock Purdy's kryptonite was. Did you see that? And his kryptonite, according to them, is that he had off bootleg dropbacks last year. He had a PFF grade of 55.5, fifth worst in the NFL. But it's easy to envision what that is. That's no Christian McCaffrey. You have lots of plays in there that are bootleg action, so you could get the ball out to Christian, and then you take Christian out of there, but those plays still stay in your offense. And now Purdy's running those bootleg dropbacks, but he doesn't have the safety valve, so he's trying. You know what I mean? That's why his number was so low, I think. I bet you anything with a healthy CMC, his Pro Football Focus grade on bootleg pass plays will go up this year.
Yeah.
Martin Hansen, by the way, said, boys gave me fake news. Evan Anderson is not on our practice squad right now.
That's not true, actually. I have it right here in front of me, unless you do.
Let me share the screen with you with I have in front of me, and you tell me if this is
It'd be better
or not. This is what I'm looking at right now, and you tell me. Wait. There we go. That's what I'm looking at. In other news, 49ers defensive tackle Evan Anderson passed through waivers and intends to sign with their practice squad per Matt Barrows. So I agree. I can see what you're saying. It's probably a procedural move that won't happen officially until tomorrow.
Yes. Which I believe they have to cut somebody off the practice squad to make room for him. Maybe that is Junior Burgess, Malik Turner, maybe somebody else. But it does seem like Evan Anderson will be brought back at some point, which you think he would. He made the 53-man roster, so you think he would be brought back on the practice squad after a move is made.
I thought maybe there was a chance that they had some kind of disagreement today because I didn't see Kasarik at practice, and I know Kasarik was one of the voices that, he was one of the guys. I asked Kasarik, hey, are you the reason Evan Anderson's here? And he's like, absolutely. So he was the reason that the Niners gave Evan Anderson almost $300,000 or $400,000 to sign as an undrafted player 2 years ago. And it worked out. Yeah. So you would think. So when I saw that he was cut for Jordan Jefferson, I thought, well, and then I asked Saul about Jordan Jefferson. He's like, I got to see him more. So it's like, it came across to me as like, that's not Salah's guy. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe it's Chris's guy, but no, because Evan Anderson was Chris's guy. And then Chris is not at practice. I was like, is Chris pissed that they cut Anderson? But, and maybe the Jacksonville guys and Ethan Waugh guy, because Waugh came from Jacksonville, and maybe Lynch is listening to Waugh, and maybe I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of speculation. We'll find out. I doubt Chris, and the fact that they got Evan Anderson back in the practice squad probably appeases Chris, I would imagine. But
you hope so.
You would hope so. We got this one right here. Let's see if we go. Yeah, right here we got this one. ESD Music Ltd. Give JJ $7 million for the rest of the year. Let him bet on himself next year. If not, IR his Cali ass. So what that is? Like California.
Where it's not on the screen right now. Let me see.
Here
Yes,
we go.
I think so. There you go.
There we go. That's what it looks like to me. We got this one from Enrique Martinez. It's time to trade or sign or trade him to the Bengals for that defensive tackle that he just signed a couple days ago. If that trade happens, we'll be in the Super Bowl. Who's he? Oh, he's talking about Hendrickson? Who's he talking about?
Trey Hendrickson?
Shamar Stewart? About Shamar Stewart.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's not happening either way.
No.
Okay. Couple last thoughts before we call it here. Does any of the guys that they've picked up as far as receivers move you? Like if I said to you, and I brought this up today on KMBR on Niners Nightly, knowing what we know right now, if you had to say who's going to be the 49ers leading receiver this year, who are you going with? You going with Kittle? You going with CMC? You going with Demarcus Robinson? You going with Ricky Pearsall? You going with JJ, Russell Gage, MVS, Kendrick Bourne? I think I'm going Jordan Watkins.
Oh, are you referring to receiving yards or receptions?
I'm thinking receiving yards.
Okay.
Receptions, I'll go with Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, I think I would have to go Kittle in that respect. Jordan Watkins is back at practice, so that's a good sign for his availability week 1. I just know that Kyle is so fickle with young rookie receivers, and timing has been a thing with young receivers. And I know Watkins has shown more in a very short period of time than previous mid-round picks under the Shanahan-Lynch regime. But I think Kittle is the guy. Purdy and Kittle, I think, have, if not the second best tight end quarterback chemistry in football behind maybe Mahomes and Kelsey. I know that, Pearsall is probably going to have the targets to kind of pace Kittle, but Kittle can catch 4 passes and go 75 yards downfield each game if he has to. So I'll go Kittle, but why would you pick Jordan Watkins in this case?
I just think that I know Brock Purdy, if there's a guy open short, a guy open intermediate, and a guy open deep, he goes deep.
Yeah.
And I think the Niners don't have a lot of receivers that can get separation deep, but I've watched Watkins, and he gets separation deep on the Niner DBs at will. And almost every single time he does get deep, Brock has hit him. And Brock's throwing the deep ball really well. I just think there's all these other guys that we're talking about, but it really comes down to you got to have some raw physical horsepower here. And this guy's got 4.37 speed. He played in the SEC. He was productive in that conference. I really believe that I think the 2 receivers that are really going to step up are Trey Harris for the Chargers and this guy, Jordan Watkins.
So both the Ole Miss guys.
I think both of the Ole Miss guys. I mean, I'll say this: go look at the Ole Miss guys.
Yeah, they were good.
And
Watkins got better when Harris got hurt.
Right, and Watkins, Harris is a hell of a player.
Yeah.
They're going to run the ball a lot with the Chargers, but I think Harris has a big year, and I think Watkins has a big year.
I would say in order, I would go Kittle, Robinson, Pearsall in regards to yards. I know Robinson misses the first 3 games, but I think he's had a really good preseason, albeit, again, not playing with Purdy for 2 of the games. I think he also has some sneaky speed to get downfield. He was one of the Rams' top targets the last couple of years as a deep ball getter. So I just wonder with Kyle, like when Aiyuk comes back, and let's assume that Robinson's healthy and Pearsall is healthy at that time, which probably won't be the case, unfortunately, but hopefully it is. I just don't like Kyle rarely ever plays a 4th wide receiver, and that always worries me. It's always 3 guys and kind of caps it there. So I do feel like Watkins, for as good as he may be early in the season, might get buried once Aiyuk comes back. And so that's why I lean towards Kittle or other guys like Robinson ahead of him.
Uniform-wise, today they announced those new unis. What'd you think of them? If I say to you your favorite 49er uni, what are you going with?
Ooh, it's not the new ones, I'll tell you that. I think I really love our away jerseys. The gold helmet and gold pants with the white is so clean. I know it isn't the home reds, and I get it, but the away jerseys are gorgeous in my opinion. I think this jersey today is my least favorite of the currents and the throwbacks they have, the 94 throwbacks, but I'm happy that they do have the gold and saloon font. It needed it desperately. I also love the helmets. The helmets are phenomenal, but I also don't like the fact they're all black because I know they're wearing them once, but let's say they're wearing them the entire year for whatever reason. Like
Too hot.
that sun at Levi Stadium is going to be cooking the fans themselves, but the players on top of that. So not a fan of the all black, but do like the gold and saloon font on them.
I don't like that. I don't like the gold face mask.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it looks bad. It looks kind of cheesy.
Should it be black, you think?
I think it would be better if it was black.
Okay.
I also kind of like the old black jerseys better because I don't love the saloon font, and I don't love the yellow. I don't like yellow gold. I don't like the gold as much. Now granted, those old ones weren't good because you couldn't see the numbers.
Yeah.
But there was a simplicity about the red and the black, the two-tone, which I kind of liked. I thought they were cleaner looking than these. You couldn't read the numbers. I'm glad I didn't have to do play-by-play or anything like that. But these you can read the numbers better. But this is busier. I don't like busy as much. Go ahead.
I wish they would go back to the late 90s, early 2000s throwback look with T.O. and Jeff Garcia and late Steve Young career. I love those jerseys. Granted, I was raised during that time, but maybe it's nostalgia, but I do like those jerseys, and I wouldn't mind a little throwback to those instead of what they have today.
I'd like to see the Warriors go back to the Bobby Sir oranges that they used to wear. I'll tell you the one that I think looks the best. I really think the throwback road all whites look really clean.
Those are
now
great.
When they, especially at night, if you play at night, those things look really good. I think they look really good.
Those things pop really well in Seattle at night for Thursday night games. They look
they're
phenomenal.
wearing yellow and we're wearing white.
Yeah.
I think that looks pretty good.
They have their pea lime green jerseys, and we have all whites. They look great.
We'll see. Freddie McDrace has signed Gabe Davis. There's a good idea. And we got this one here. My ball, Zach Ertz. Can you say pig in a pickle in Spanish? No, I cannot. I really can't. I don't speak Spanish, but I can try. But I don't speak Spanish. Pig is cochon in French. I don't know what it means in Spanish.
Is that the Anchorman quote? You know I don't speak Spanish.
It works. It wasn't like 7 out of 10 times it works every time.
70% of the time it works every time.
70% of the time it works every time. What a great movie. What a great movie.
Yes.
Great. I want to be on you. My apartment smells of rich mahogany.
Rich mahogany. Yeah.
Mahogany. I have many leather-bound books.
Oh, so good.
Just
so good. I think Brick killed the guy. You should get out of town. Lay low for a little bit. So good.
And then if there's ever been a movie that was so good compared to the next one, next one was the worst movie I've ever freaking seen. My God, it was so painful.
It's not great. I did have the misfortune of seeing John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell play Sherlock Holmes in the movie that came out a couple of years ago. The dubbing was off, so they're talking, and it was like I was watching like a Japanese Godzilla film where it's dubbed in English, and you're like, what is happening? But they were all speaking English. It was terrible. I was like, what, is my brain malfunctioning? Why is the voice and the audio off? So that was a lot worse than Anchorman, but Anchorman 2 is not great by any means.
I'd rather watch Beverly Hills Cop 3 than watch Anchorman 2.
Did you watch the new one, the Axel Foley one on Netflix?
Yes, I saw it during the holidays, and it was bad too. It was bad. Something. Eddie Murphy jumped the shark between Beverly Hills Cop 2 and 3. Somewhere in there, right there, something happened to him.
Well, don't forget, The Adventures of Pluto Nash was absolutely terrible in the early 2000s.
What about Vampire in Brooklyn? He's had some bad.
Where his wig is changing between the scenes.
Though I did like him in Bowfinger. I thought he was pretty funny in Bowfinger. I thought that was underrated. All right, that's going to do it for us. Sterling, good to see you, man. Why don't you promote anything you got going on that you would love? We got 3,000 people watching right now. If anything you want to, what's that?
The pressure's on.
The pressure's on. Yeah. Oh, wait, we have one
goodness.
more super here. Here we go. The guy he asked a question. Now he's answering. El Puco y El Pepino.
El Puerco y El Pepino. Okay.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. You'll have to open the show with that next time.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you the final word before we bolt for the door. Thanks once again to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles and Claw Daddy Arcades. The links are in the description for all of our sponsors. If you want to help the show, shop our sponsors. We appreciate that greatly. And Sterling, I'll give you the final word before we call it a night.
Yeah, I would say go ahead and hopefully follow me on social media and subscribe to the YouTube channel 49ers Access. Larry, it's a pleasure. Anytime you want me, you got me on the show. I know we're good friends from 95.7 The Game, so whenever you need me, come calling. If I am Dieter 2.0, if I am Dieter Light, I will be that for you on Pig and a Pickle.
95.7 The Game will never beat KMBR ever. Tell Matt I said that.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you won't get exactly